In this video, I'm going to be telling you how I got on with these in a race. Okay people, so as promised, we're back with a race review of these, the Hoka Cielo X1. Now I am going to pronounce the name completely wrong through this whole video, so let me know in the comments if that's annoyed you. Okay people, right, so hopefully you saw the first video I did on the shoe. We went over the stats and features and we spoke about it, and I gave you the things I like, things I don't like. Today we're actually going to talk about what it was like in a race. I did the winter 10k in this shoe. We're going to talk about how it felt, what it was like, and whether I still feel, well, a little bit disappointed with the shoe. Right, so just to give a bit of context, the London Winter 10K is a mass participation event held in London. It's a big deal in terms of the amount of money it raises for a cancer charity, which is awesome, but it has thousands of runners, and I say it's one of the big sort of 10K races that happen in the winter. Now, I wasn't there to run a time. I actually ran it with Aubrey from Aubrey is Running, and I wasn't running a time at that event, but I did put some goal pace into that run, and that's why I feel like I can come back and give you a bit of a report on the shoe. Now what I've been trying to do this year on the channel is get these super shoes into a race. I've done sort of pre-race reviews, let's call it, but I didn't want to give a definitive answer on what the shoe is like, because I feel with these super shoes you need to actually give them a race before you can make some sort of, well, proper conclusion on the shoe. Okay, right, so I'll put up my time and my splits and all that sort of stuff, and you can check me out on Strava. Just look up Chris Ford on Strava and you'll be able to find me. But let's get into the sort of detail. Let's get stuck into the weeds of the race and how the shoe actually felt. Now actually, before we do that, let's have a quick overview, thinking about it, because you may be new here and you don't know anything about this shoe. So really quickly, this is Hoka's marathon shoe, race day shoe. We've got 2 layers of PEBA foam. We've got a winged carbon plate running through the shoe. 39mm of stack. I think it's got a 7mm drop. We've got this really sort of knit feeling upper on the shoe. We've got the worst laces on the shoe. I've had to go up a size to a UK 10, and this is pushing close to 10 ounces in my UK 10. We do have some very good rubber coverage on the outsole, and I'll come on to that, which is, I wouldn't say one of the reasons for the weight, but obviously they could have shaved some of the weight off by reducing some of that rubber coverage. But I think let's give them some kudos for putting that amount of rubber coverage on this super shoe. It's £250 over here in the UK, and it's readily available. Right, okay. Good job we got that out of the way. Right, okay, so look, this shoe actually was a really nice, enjoyable experience. It felt comfortable, it felt bouncy, it felt propulsive, it just felt nice. It was easy to maintain speed. The outsole was a particular highlight in terms of the grip running around London. I didn't have any issues in terms of stability in the shoe, none whatsoever. Some of that probably comes from the winged plate design, I would say. It was a relatively cold morning, and the upper didn't feel particularly warm, which was good. The fit was fine, and all that sort of, you know, the upper and how it all felt in terms of my foot being in the shoe was all, well, fine. The lockdown was okay. Again, these laces aren't brilliant, but let's just put them to a side because we know they're terrible. But actually the lockdown was all right, and the shoe bounced along really nicely. It held speed, it felt good. I could pick the paces up, I dropped the pace a little bit, but I was pretty consistent throughout the run, and the shoe, well, it did a good job. I do think it looks good, by the way. I've got to give Hoka some kudos because I think the shoe looks good. And that's probably all the positives I want to give it. Because here's the thing, I'm still struggling with the weight. If this was like an ounce lighter, or maybe an ounce and a half lighter, now I appreciate some of you in grams, and I'll put that up on the screen, I think this could be a contender for the marathon shoe. But I just worry about the weight. Now I might be nuts, but let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree, whether this is actually too heavy. The other thing is as well, is that I'm worried about this upper. Right now in the UK, it's pretty cold, right? It's not like freezing, but it's pretty cold. But when we come to April in the London Marathon, I've run the London Marathon in 27 degrees before. And if it was 27 degrees, I'd be really worried about this upper. It's very coarse, and it's kind of thick feeling, and I wouldn't necessarily want to be in it for 26.2 miles. The other problem with this shoe, and it's not a problem, but it's just a part of the design, is that if you start going back into the hill, which I will do in the marathon because I am going to get tired and I am going to get fatigued and my form's going to go out the window, I would be very worried about the sort of instability in the hill area. Now over that race, I said there was no stability issues. But that's because I'm like here and forward, I'm doing a 10k, right? So it's like no bother at all. But in the marathon, when I start slipping back, I am worried about this hill area and how much I'm going to be moving around in it. So long story short, I don't have the confidence to run this in the London Marathon. I'm concerned about the weight. I'm concerned about the upper. It's a good feeling shoe. I like it, but I'm not convinced by it. And if I've got your hat on, £250 is a lot to gamble on the shoe that I'm not 100% convinced about for you. Does that make any sense? So look, I don't think this is a particularly bad shoe. I think this is a fun shoe. I think it's a nice start to maybe this lineup from Hoka, but I think they need to do some tweaks, in particularly on the upper, and they need to lose some weight for it, because if they do those things, I think we might have a very good shoe on our hands. But it is a shame, because I really like the look of it, and as I said, I enjoyed it out there. I was bobbing along and having some fun in the shoe. It was great time in the shoe, but for the marathon distance, which I think this shoe is designed for, I'm not convinced. So there we go. That's the race report. I wanted to let you know how I've sort of felt about it after the race. We've still got a couple of shoes to do in this sort of series of super shoes into races before I make up my mind which shoe I'm going to run the London Marathon in. If you've not seen it, check out the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 race review and the Nike Alpha Fly 3 race review we've done. They're already on the channel. We've got the SE Elite 4 coming soon as well, because I'm going to be doing a race in them. So again, let me know in the comments, do you like the race reviews in terms of the super shoes? Let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate that feedback. Thank you to everybody who has already given me some feedback. Thank you to everybody who's been joining the live stream on at 8 o'clock on a Monday. Make sure if you've not tuned into that, you do. But that's it from me, guys. I'll catch you later.